Back. Not really any worse for wear. Just a delay, and I'll have to reconcile the episode numbers later. Anyway, we got the mammoth tusk and the wolf pelt out of there. We need mammoth tusks later on for quests. 2 of them to be precise. That's why I took it even though it was stealing. Wolf pelt, meanwhile, is free, and I need it anyway. 2 troll fats. I already have the one I need for quests, but might as well have the other one just for the ingredient. Let's take everything else that's free to take. Then we'll talk to Alvor. It's sensible. You actually want to talk to him before we pick his pocket, because he's willing to give us most of what he's carrying that we would want anyway.
Ain't every day we get visitors in Riverwood. Good. May the gods watch over your battles, friend. Whatever you need. Buy you smear if it's simple and strong. I can forge it. Good. You looking for a new blade? And iron or steel is what you need. Leave that fancy elven stuff to the elves. I could forge you a war hammer that would crush a giant's head like a walnut. Ah, you the sneaky type? Got some nice daggers around here somewhere. Yes?
Do you have any supplies I could take as like the trigger that moves the story along? So let's ask him the others first. What can you tell me about Riverwood?
Gerder's family first settled here as woodcutters a few generations ago. She and Hod run the mill. I make a decent living sharpening axes and fixing the sawmill.
Can I use your forge?
I see no harm in it, if you have the skill. The grindstone will improve your weapons. Use the table to improve your armor. If you've got the raw materials, you can use the forge to make something new.
What do you think about the war?
People are rightly stirred up about the damn Thalmor being allowed to roam around arresting people, just for worshipping Talos. But was it worth tearing Skyrim apart and maybe destroying the Empire? No. Ulfric will have a lot to answer for in the end. Nords have always supported the Empire, and the Empire has always been good for Skyrim.
Why are the Thalmor allowed to arrest people for worshipping Talos?
It's from that treaty that ended the Great War, remember? When the Emperor was forced by the Thalmor to outlaw Talos worship. We didn't pay much attention to it when I was a boy. Everyone still had their little shrine to Talos. But then, Ulfric and his sons of Skyrim started agitating about it. Sure enough, the Emperor had to crack down, dragging people off in the middle of the night. One of the main causes of this war, if you ask me.
Do you have any supplies I could take?
Of course. Take what you need.
Okay. Alright, so the 2 rings are important. Haunting Brew Mead is too. Those are both on my list. Is that my first? Yeah, that is my first Haunting Brew Mead. I only need 1. I have to keep it in my inventory. I just need 2 more rings now for my eventual crafting loop. He also has 1 more iron ingot. And then, when that's all done, we'll pick his pocket and see how that goes. I'm going to take all this stuff, of course.
There's something you could do for me. For all of us here. The Jarl needs to know if there's a dragon on the loose. Riverwood is defenseless. We need to get word to Jarl Balgruuf in Whiterun to send whatever soldiers he can. If you'll do that for me, I'll be in your debt.
Completed. Talk to Alvor in Riverwood. Talk to the Jarl of Whiterun. Do you have any supplies I could take?
Like I said, I'm glad to help in any way I can. Help yourself to whatever you need. Within reason.
How do I get to Whiterun from here?
Cross the river and then head north. You'll see it just past the falls. When you get to Whiterun, just keep going up. When you get to the top of the hill, you're at Dragon's Reach, the Jarl's Palace.
What can you tell me about the Jarl?
Jarl Balgruuf. He rules Whiterun Hold. A good man, perhaps a bit overcautious, but these are dangerous times. So far, he's managed to stay out of the war. I'm afraid it can't last, though.
Which side in the war does he favor?
I don't think he likes either Ulfric or Elisif much. Who can blame him? But I've no doubt he'll prove loyal to the Empire in the end. He's no traitor.
You support the Empire, then?
Of course. Skyrim has always been part of the Empire. That doesn't mean I support everything the Empire's been doing lately. But Nords have never been fair-weather friends.
Who's Elisif?
Ah, I forget you're new to Skyrim. Jarl Elisif, I should say. Although only because she was married to Jarl Torig when he was murdered. Ulfric murdered Torig, you know. Walked right into his palace in Solitude and killed him. Shouted him to death, if you believe the stories. That's what started this whole war. The Empire couldn't ignore that. Once the Jarls start killing each other, we're back to the bad old days.
Oh, hi, Jake. I didn't see you come in. I'm sorry if it happened when I was having my technical issues. But, yes, Jake, that does prove that Talos is actually a divine, as does the fact that his shrines actually give you a blessing when you interact with them. And if you go deep on the lore of the Thalmor don't actually disbelieve in the divinity of Talos. They very much believe he is a god. The Thalmor's real mission is to unmake creation itself, because if you read, I'm gonna nerd out on Elder Scrolls lore here for a second, so bear with me. But so if you read all of the religious texts that are available in the game, like the Mana Myth, and the differences between the way men and the way the elves view, say, Lorcan and the creation of the Mundus and whatnot, the elves view it as a fundamental betrayal, that they were, like, sundered from their immortal heritage as spirits and forced to live as mortals, whereas men view it as a good thing, generally, as a blessing, that they get to exist when they otherwise would not have. And so the religious philosophical goal of the Thalmor is actually to undo the creation of the Mundus, which they can do by deactivating the towers that essentially hold the Mundus together. Some of the towers have already been deactivated. For example, the brass tower was the brass golem Numidium, which existed and was a focal point of the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. The Numidium was destroyed, and the brass tower, one of the, I believe there are 8, was deactivated. Red Mountain in Vardenfell was the Red Tower, and it's deactivated after the Red Year and its eruption and the fall of the Tribunal. The Crystal Tower in Somerset Isle was one of the towers, and it was deactivated and destroyed during the Oblivion Crisis. And so some towers that we know are still intact are, I forget what it's called, but there's a tower in High Rock that is still intact. The Throat of the World is a tower, the Snow Tower. The White Gold Tower in the center of the Imperial City is a tower. It's unclear to me whether it's actually active or not at this point in the series. I believe that it is deactivated after the Oblivion Crisis and the Great War and the fall of the Septums, but the White Gold Tower may still be active. I'm not sure. And I'm not entirely sure where the other 2 towers are. But one really interesting aspect of the lore is that mankind themselves, with Talos as their avatar, is, I don't think necessarily one of the towers exactly, but they are also an anchor that actually holds the creation in place. And so, in order to achieve their ultimate goal, so the Thalmor's ultimate endgame is to completely undo creation so that all the elves can become immortal spirits again. They religiously believe that this is a good thing for them to accomplish that's worth doing. And so they deny the divinity of Talos and try to undermine belief in him because he is essentially like the divine avatar of man in general, and they also need to actually kill all the men. And that is part of their goal. That's a necessary piece of the process of completely unmaking creation, which is what they want to do. So, you know, it's a lot. They're a lot more lore-wise than just a neat analog for fascists. Like the lore on the Thalmor is actually pretty compelling, and it's pretty obvious that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to go pretty deep into their end game of deactivating all the towers to unmake creation, and presumably we will be fighting against that. So, to answer your question, Jake, yeah, there's abundant proof that Talos actually is a divine, and there's also pretty good evidence that the Thalmor know that, and they don't care. It's all part of their plan. Damn, Hildy. You're really, really committed to that spot. Let's see, it's too late to do the smithing tutorial with Alvor, so we'll take care of... We'll go ahead and explore the Riverwood Trader for now. Oh, I need to check my journal on Before the Storm. Hadvar's uncle Alvor asks me to take word to the Jarl of Whiterun of the dragon attack on Helgen, and to ask the Jarl to send soldiers to protect Riverwood. That's a good question, Lone Wonder. The gods, I think, generally don't really have, like, personal avatars. Like, the Aedra, which is the term for the 9 divines, they're almost like... They aren't really as anthropomorphized as, say, the Daedra are. They're a lot more conceptual, and they're both less bounded and more limited in what exactly they can do. That said, I know that Talos, at least, can manifest as a person we can actually speak to, because we actually speak to an avatar of Talos in Morrowind. If you remember Wolf in Ghostgate, that's Talos, and he shows up and talks to us. So it's very possible that we will interact with them, yes. And I think it would be neat if we did. Oh, and I forgot to loot back here. I meant to do that too. Alright, so we have still to explore Riverwood Trader, Faendal's house, Sven and Hildy's house. We need to resolve a lovely letter, we need to do the smithing tutorial, we need to pick up the Golden Claw. So, I'm doing Riverwood Trader next. I'm going to start upstairs. We can hear their conversation and sneak around without aggroing Lucan. We'll eventually make friends with them, so there's not a lot I need to steal, which is nice. Yeah, I'd be interested in...
One of us has to do something.
I said no. No adventures, no theatrics, no thief chasing.
Well, what are you going to do then, huh? Let's hear it.
We are done talking about this.
Okay, Camilla's going to her seat. Yeah, Lone Wonder, it will be interesting. I mean, there's precedent, because we already spoke to Talos in Morrowind, and he just took on, you know, the form of a pretty generic Imperial soldier and just spoke to us. And what's really interesting, lore-wise, is that Talos, who is Tiber Septim, who is the founder of the Empire, actually said in Morrowind, a few years before it happened, that it's probably time for the Empire to end anyway. You know, it's pretty clear they were already writing Elder Scrolls 4, because you get to that guy in Mournhold who basically describes the plot of Oblivion in a vision that he had. But anyway, that's enough of a digression about a different game for now. Let's take the gold, the bear pelt, and the mammoth tusk. Take the pelt and the tusk off my gear list. So I need 18 more bear pelts, including 8 standard bear pelts. And that's the last mammoth tusk I need. That's 2 out of 2. 1 for Isolde in Whiterun, and 1 for Medici in Riften. That's true, Jake. That's definitely true. But I find it interesting that there's so much debate over whether or not the Empire should continue to exist, and we actually know what Tiber Septim thinks, and Tiber Septim thinks it's time for the Empire to go. But probably not in the way the Thalmor are trying to get rid of it. I very much doubt Tiber Septim is on board with the end of creation, even if he's fine with his Empire ending. Alright, we got books. I'm gonna do the books last after I pick open these chests. Alright, Horker Tusk and Cave Bear Pelt are both useful to me. The Cave Bear Pelt goes into my total, but it's obviously not a standard one. Can't be used for Hearthfire, so it'll go to Temba. Horker Tusks, I need a total of 9 of those. That's also Hearthfire. Now we're down to 8. And of course, lockpicking increased to 21, which makes me happy. Let's check this dresser, just to see. Alright, I'm going to read the Songs of the Return in order. So, Volume 2. Songs of the Return, Volume 2, the first tale of the Darum Zu. Our great lord Ysgramor, the harbinger of us all, did then send forth his 2 beloved sons, with him the only other survivors of the brutalities of Sarthal, to seek out the bravest warriors of the land and mount the great return. Ingol and Ilgar they were called, and they were known among Atmora as fine warriors with bright eyes and dawning futures. Ingol the Elder was the brave strategist, bringing his learnings to bear on the battlefield that his enemies would be defeated before they even knew the battle had begun. Ilgar the Younger was possessed of an unwavering spirit that drove his singular prowess to overwhelming feats in war. Together, the mind and the arm, they were capable of sowing a destruction most thorough and glorious to any foe who stood before them. Before they parted ways to gather their crews, the 2 clasped arms and necks in the old fashion and laughed at the heavens for their stories to come. Young Ilgar then took to the massive shipyards of Ylkerfik at the southern point and commissioned 2 ships for himself and his brother. He would command the Darum Zu and his brother the Harak, thus carrying the names of the 2 favored stars of their heavens. The shipmaker's spirits had been suitably filled by Ysgramor's tales of the savage elves, and they set about to birth ships that befit their noble homeland. Arrangements having been made, Ilgar set forth to the academies of honored soldiers, seeking out his most trusted friends and advisors to join him on the venture of the return. By now, the stories of the new land to the south were spreading before him, and the mere emergence of his presence was enough to cause the finest warriors to lay down their present undertakings and follow him. So was he able to call to his side the great shield sisters Froa and Grosta, who thought and spoke as one, and they brought with them the wise war teacher Adrimk, who first taught them to dance among the blades. She, in turn, mustered all the students at her command, whose names were not yet made, but some of whom would one day be known. Hermesker, who threw his shield, Urlach, who breathed fire, Ramth the Greater, Merkilian Ramth, and the far-sighted Uche, who would see the first of many dawns. On the day of final passage, when the many-oared fleet would last see the distant green summers of Atmora, the brothers were near in their father's wake as the freshly joined 500 would eagerly press onwards towards Tamriel. Ilgar could see his well-minded brother smiling from afar across the waves, and they shouted war cries to each other, longing for the soon day when their assembled crews would draw the treacherous elf blood into the ground, which they would now claim for their own rights. But Kyne's ministrations are not to be taken lightly, and though her blessings gave wind to drive those brave sailors to their destiny, so too did her mighty tears fall to drive them apart. When the storm of separation first arose, young Ilgar had no fear, for his crew was strong and able, and their ship drove true through the forest of swells as though pulled by the rope of fate. When the skies cleared and Ilgar glimpsed again with new eyes the land of his past and future home, He knew his brother's vessel was not within his horizon. The Darumzu, arriving late, drew forth onto the sands, and Ilgar rushed to his father to seek word of his brother. The great Ysgramor, harbinger of us all, wept for his lost son, and sought comfort in the arms of his only remaining joy. The crew of the Harak became the first deaths among the 500, and Ilgar so enraged with love for his brother that his crew would soon be counted as first among the many noble and honored names in the Companions. I'm gonna take a second to take the 4 Songs of the Return off my book list right quick. Volume 2, Volume 7, Volume 19, and Volume 56 are the ones we can check off in here. Songs of the Return, Volume 7. The Tale of the Jorvaskr. When at last the rightful claim of Sarthal had been retaken, driving the murderous elves back to their lofty cities, did great Ysgramor turn and let loose the fearsome war cry that echoed across all the oceans. The 500 who yet stood joined in the ovation for the victory and the lament for their fallen peers. It was said to be heard on the distant and chilling green shores of Atmora, and the ancestors knew their time had come to cross the seas. As the reverberations echoed doubt and drowned to silence, all looked to Ysgramor, who bore the blessed Wuthrad for his next commandment. With his lungs that bellowed forth the fury of humanity, he bade them to continue their march, that the devious Mer might know the terror they had brought on themselves with their trickery. Go forth, he roared, into the belly of this new land. Drive the wretched from their palaces of idleness. Oblige them to squalor and toil, that they would see their betrayals as the all sin against our kind. Give no quarter, show no kindness, for they would not give nor show you the same. Our great forebear gave this order as he did not yet understand the prophecy of the twin snakes, that he would be fated to die before seeing the true destiny of his line. Hearing this, the circle of captains gathered each their crews unto themselves. From here they decreed, we will go forth. Let each ship's band make its own way, seeking their fates to the open sun. A night spent in feasting, the oath of the companions was sworn anew, with each of the 500, so they still named their count in honor of the shields that were broken at Sarthal, swearing to act as shield brother and shield sister to any of the Atmoran line where their fates to ever again entwine. As the red hands of dawn stretched from the east, so broke the 500 companions of Ysgramor, setting about their journeys, sailing now across the land with waves of stone and crests of trees flowing under their footed hulls. The first to break from the grounded fleet was the crew of the Jorvaskr, who had been formed of Ysgramor's closest friends. Their captain was known as Jeek of the River, so called by the Harbinger himself from their youths past in glory. When assembling their glistening hull, he sought out the labors of Menro and Manwe, who now bore the native timbers across this new land of Tamriel. Among their fiercest were Tisnol, who was twice named, and Tur, his twin and shield brother, whose girth was never spoken of to his face. There were others, too, in their band, Mexam the Walker, Brunel, who fought with his offhand, and Just the Smiler. These and others were sworn to Jeek, and they pushed forth into the shadows where yet the sun had not reached. Southwards they went, by beast and by foot. Elves they found, though none remained to tell what those battles entailed. The numbers of the Jorvaskr never faltered, so shrewd were they in battle, with minds as sharp as their blades. Once, as the sun beat from its high home, Jonder the Tiny, the one who ran ahead, came over the hill to tell what was seen. Amidst a vast plain his eyes had met a monument of a bird, whose eyes and beak were opened in flame. When his brothers and sisters crested the hill, they too saw its glory, but they were afraid, for no elven settlement could be seen to the horizon. But this is not seemly, said Clue, who went by Loate when hiding his face. Is not this wide land fit for harvest? Why have not the elves, vile to their core, seen to exploit and tame it? They asked of their elven captives, for they had many, what they found unfit about these plains. Yet even the captives who still bore their tongues could say nothing of the valley. They looked with fear at the winged colossus, and from their babblings did the warriors of Jorvaskr learn that it was older than even the elves themselves. Of those who wrought it solid from its mother stone, nothing could be said, but it was known to drive a magic almost as old as Nirn itself, some remnant of the gods' efforts to render a paradise in Mundus before the shattering of Lorcan. This first of many, this crew of the Jorvaskr, heathens and ancestors to us all, feared no stories or gods. Indeed, if there was something the elves feared, they would have it for their own. Thus began the labors once more of Menro and Manwë, whose eager hands again laid to the Atmoran wood, which had borne them all across the sea. And what was their ship became their shelter, as this valley became their purview until the end of all their days. Thus began the building of the great city, circled by the running of the White River, as brought forth by these beloved of Ysgramor, yet but 22 of the glorious 500 companions. Alright. Checking a different one right quick. Okay. That's going to do there. Very good. Songs That Return, Volume 19. The Second Tale of the Ilgermet. When that final battle at the Barren Pass was completed, and the melting snow carried elf blood back to the sea, the crew of the Kalkaz, the Sidon Wraith, and the most exalted crew of our Lord's ship, the Ilgermet, at last parted ways, never to join shields again. They drew apart in that form which is not a loss, but a gain in knowing one's heart can be carried in the chests of others. So great was the love that those first of the 500 had for each other, and most especially for the great Ysgramor, harbinger of us all. They pressed eastwards, seeking the sea, when they came upon the barrow of Ingol, the mighty Ysgramor's son who had fallen to the whims of kine rather than the treachery of the elves. Our Lord had not expected to lay eyes upon it again so soon, and his grief flowed anew at the sight of it, as a reopened wound will bleed as it did when first received. His eyes turned to the south, where a river met the sea, and he decreed that there would he and the crew of the Ilgermet create a great city, in monument to the glories of mankind, that from his palace he might always look upon the hill of his dear son's resting place, and feel that his line would know peace in this new home that was never known in Atmora. The elven captives were set to work, bringing forth stone to build in their conqueror's fashion. As many elves died in the building of the city as had the crew of the Ilgermet slain while on way to its site, and Ysgramor drove the wretches evermore, to build higher, to lay a claim to the river so that none might pass into the interior of this land without first showing due respect to its rightful claimant. Thus was the great bridge constructed, forever striding the river that no elf might sneak through to avenge his devious cousins. As the bridge was built long, so too was the palace built high, spires reaching the sky to show dominion even over the very winds that had brought forth such a grief. In the deep hollows beneath the city, a great tomb was prepared for the day when Lord Ysgramor, harbinger to us all, would be called home to glory in Sovngarde. But as we know, he chose instead to be buried on the shore, facing towards Atmora, that though his heart lived and died in this new land, it would forever yearn for the beauties of still green Atmora before the freezing took it. Thus was founding of Windhelm, the city of kings, though her history is long and her glories did not end with her founder. And Songs of the Return, Volume 56. The Final Tale of the Creon. The Songs of the Return are eternal and numerous for those first 500, those companions of Ysgramor, who cleared the way for mankind's rightful habitation, burned with a fire not seen since those days long past. Each ship carried a crew that performed legendary feats that could feed the pride of any nation for 1,000 years. And during this time of the broadening, scores of companions wandered the land, bringing the light of the proper gods to the heathen land of elves and beasts. They were but mortal, though, and in time all would taste the glories of Sovngarde. It was in one of the uncounted years after the retaking of Sarthal that the crew of the Creon was declaring their fortunes in the eastern lands near the Red Mountain. They were encamped, surrounded by bodies of murderous elves who had attempted to make them believe they held peace in their hearts. The shrewd Rorlak was the Creon's captain, though, and would show no quarter to the liars of the Southlands, as had been commanded by his Lord Ysgramor, harbinger of us all. It was in this state of carousing that they were approached by a young and breathless messenger of their sister crew from the Kalkaz. The boy, Asgir as his name is now sung, had ran unimaginable distance at breakneck speed from the blood-stained fields of the clouded sun to deliver the news to all who would hear. When he reached their camp, he bellowed a great sob before relieving his heart with the news that the mighty Ysgramor had breathed his last. Asgir continued his swift run to inform the other crews as quickly as they could be found, for there were many now crawling the land, rendering our legacy from their deeds. And the camp of the Creon descended into a mourning of the most forlorn sort. Among these fires sat the bravest men and fiercest women who have ever graced the dirt of this land, and they were brought low by such a notion. While we in the day shine know only Ysgramor's glory as it gleams through history, These companions knew his might with their own eyes, and such a loss hangs so heavily on the heart that mere words cannot express the altering of their world. For indeed the stories tell that Rorlak, the most battle-hardened and unflinching of all captains, did collapse with grief, and never lifted again his mighty axe. And all around Tamriel as the news spread, as a dark cloud washes from horizon to horizon, did brilliant lights go out in silent honor of their fallen general and war leader. So ended the period of the return and the original glories of the 500 companions of Ysgramor, harbinger of us all. Alrighty, now we can go downstairs. Pick Camilla's pocket first. All I need is gold key lockpick.
What do you...
Pretty straightforward. I too have run across endless fields at breakneck speeds when traveling to a map marker with fast travel disabled. We'll just call you Asgear. I want our gold. I want our key. I want our lockpick. I want to check over here for useful stuff. See, I'm going to want those salt piles. They have alchemical utility. Don't care about the cabbage.
Talk some sense into my pig-headed brother.
Sure, let's chat.
You're a strapping young man. Don't be a stranger. You're not from around here. That makes two of us. I came here from the Imperial Province to work with my brother Lucan. It got bad back in Cyrodiil. The war with the Thalmor ruined everything. I came to Skyrim looking for a better life. So what did I get? Another war. I just want to find a good husband and start a family of my own. Alright, what can I do for you?
Alright, I'm siding with Faendal, so I have a letter for you from Sven.
Another poem, I bet. He does know how to make a girl blush. What's this? If that oaf thinks all I'm going to do is stay in that filthy house of his and clean, You can tell Sven that he already has a mother. I'm not speaking to him anymore. I better get going.
Talk to Faendal. Alright, so, I always thought it was funny to marry Camilla just to snatch her away from both Faendal and Sven. I'm not going to marry Camilla in this playthrough. She's not actually one of my favorite spouses in Skyrim. But that aspect of it's always pretty funny. These iron arrows would be good.
Put that down!
There's a spot here where if we line up just right, we can usually be hidden from detection. As long as they don't move. Which they don't, blessedly. As long as I don't talk to Lucan and get started on the Golden Claw.
Overheard, but the Riverwood Trader is still open. Feel free to shop.
Nothing out of there. I don't need the mammoth tusk. I'll take the bear pelt. The only reason I'm taking these now, I don't care if they're stolen, because I'm actually going to use them later on. We will be friends with the Riverwood Trader after we finish a Golden Claw, and at that point, if we're so inclined, we can take everything else. I haven't made up my mind yet, Lone Wonder. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna do some thinking on who's actually useful to me in some way. Get the alchemy ingredients. Get that coin purse. Get the table gold. And that'll do for now. What was it about being over here that had... Ah! It's Camilla's line of sight. Okay. I'm gonna wrap up a lovely letter now and then come back here and talk to Lucan. I want to do Lucan last so I can sell all my shit to him, essentially. I bet Faendal's house is already locked. Which I don't really mind, because it means I can get the lock picking done at least. He'll just get mad at us and yell at us to leave if we try to talk to him in there, though. Let's see, we've already done Hod and Girders. Trying to think if there's anything I need to do at night. Like pick locked doors. Riverwood Trader stays unlocked. As does the sleeping. So yeah, that really just leaves Sven and Hildy, so I just need to wait a bit. We can do Alvar and Sigurd's house now. I'll put away that key and pick open this lock. That's something. So even though it technically has keys, the Sleeping Giant Inn always stays unlocked. So we'll never pick that lock. Riverwood Trader will stay unlocked until we finish the Golden Claw. So, let's wait until Faendal is out and about, or until Hildy actually goes somewhere. It'll happen eventually. Has to. Or until Alvar comes out and lets us do the smithing tutorial. That'd be useful too. Well, looks like Faendal has emerged. So we can go make friends with him and get our first follower. Come on, boyo.
Riverwood's agreeable enough, I suppose, for a Nord village.
I don't think Camilla will be spending any more time with Sven.
I appreciate your help. Please, take this. Some gold I've saved up from working at the mill.
Alright, there we go. Now, follow me. I need your help.
Lead the way.
Alright, so we have completed a lovely letter. I'll take that off my quest list. And obviously the big reward is not the 25 gold. It is our first follower. Faendal is better than Sven in pretty much every way. His level cap is 10 levels higher. It's 30 instead of 20. He's an archery trainer. And he's better in combat. Just like across the board, he's better at everything. And so we're friends now. If I can take his 2 saber cat pelts. I think I only needed 1 more. So I'll be able to tan the other one into useful leather or strip or strips. And we got a new book. Ode to the Tundra Striders. I think this is the last house that has new books in it. In the village. And I don't think any of them are too terribly long. Ode to the Tundra Striders. O mighty Tundra Strider, how you and your mighty tusked beast silhouette against the great orange expanse. Thundering footsteps herald your herd, man and beast blazing trail together. One in nature, each relying upon the other, more than just man and beast, but equals who need one another to survive. How I long to run across the tundra in their mighty wake. That would truly be my greatest honor. The morning would be spent gathering dyes to paint our mammoths, and then carve the fiercest images into their tusks. Then it would be time for the skeever hunt. Our clubs would rain down upon the rat pests, smashing the life out of them. In the evening could sit around the campfire, and I would regale those nearby with songs of their majesty and grace. They would let me sample of the mammoth's cheese, a food so foul yet with healing properties so great. We'd snack on the roasted skeever we'd freshly caught that day before laying under the stars to sleep. I'd slowly fade to dream nested in the radiating heat of mammoth fur, its cold-resisting properties keeping me snug. What a grand time we would have. Unknown. Search is cupboard. Ah, 2 glass. That's useful. Those can be hard to come by. We need 59 for Hearthfire. That number's now 57. Regarding Ironborn, I will probably also buy... I'll probably find enough straw. I'll probably buy glass and goat horns. They're just such a huge pain in the ass to get without buying them. Iron arrow. Alright, more books. I'll take the arrows first. Scourge of the Grey Quarter. We can take his steel war axe. And his potions, that's nice. Alright. Scourge of the Grey Quarter. Another new book. This one's fun. I like racism. Yeah, somebody clip that one. Oh boy. Scourge of the Grey Quarter by Frilgith Horsebreaker. The tragedies befalling Morrowind do bring forth pity from even the stoutest Nordic heart. The Dark Elves deserve our condolences, but thus far they do not show themselves deserving of the simplest acts of charity. There are very different approaches to how to deal with the imminent problem of Morrowind, and I offer two options as seen in practice in Skyrim. One should serve as an exemplar, the other a cautionary tale. Consider Riften, which shares a border with the ruined province. A number of the Dark Elves have made their homes there, but they are expected to earn their livelihoods as is any other citizen of the great city. They ply trades as merchants, work in the temple, and serve in the keep. Honest labor, to be admired from a race that was so recently in such dire straits as to even warrant this discussion. Today, the city still has its share of problems, but they are not traceable to any influx of outsiders in their presence. In short, the Dark Elves have properly assimilated themselves into the Skyrim way of life, to be expected from any newcomer to these lands. For an alternative approach, we only have to look at the once proud city of Windhelm to see what can happen when our arms are cast too wide open in welcome. To think that the city of Ysgramor, whose very name was made in driving out the elves from our sacred home, would open itself as a welcome destination for any refugee from the smoking sulfur, is a disgrace to the very idea of being a Nord. And what has become of this? Predictably, the lazy, discontented rabble has descended into squalor in an area now delicately referred to as the Grey Quarter of the city. They were not expected to contribute, and so have not. That they attempt to make over a proud Nord city into a little pocket of Morrowind is insulting enough. But the amount of unrest they have provoked even within the proper city walls should give any other Jarl reason to fear. The Nords I talk to in the city speak of constant strife and crime coming from the Grey Quarter, with no respite in sight. The city guard barely patrol there, leaving the Dark Elves to mete out whatever passes for justice in their native customs. The respectable families of the city, the Cruel Seas and Shattershields, speak with an almost parental affection of the Argonians in their employ, but the Dark Elves have made no effort to ingratiate or assimilate themselves to the proper city dwellers. There is cause for optimism, though, as Jarl Ulfric is not nearly so tolerant of these substandard beings as his fathers were. Indeed, the soft hand of Hogue can be seen in the city's Argonian population as well. The fishmen, at least, have learned how to best contribute to their new home. They have proven themselves as models, toiling at the docks with utmost efficiency and bright smiles. It would do the Dark Elves well to pay heed to their scaly cousins. I would expect in due course that they will find themselves either contributing more directly or once again wandering the land in search of roof and warmth. I need to start paying attention to gear for Faendal too. He's primarily an archer spec, and you can't upgrade follower bows past a hunting bow because of a dumb bug in the game code. But I do need to watch out for stronger arrows to give him. He is also minorly spec'd for one-handed, so I'm going to give him the biggest mace I can find. And he's spec'd for light armor, so I need to give him light armor as well. But not a shield. He's not spec'd for block. So, let's read Pension of the Ancestor Moth. One of the, I believe, the last two books we're going to read here in Riverwood. The last of which is also here on Faendal's shelf. There are no books in Sven and Hildy's house, which is the last one we have to explore. Pension of the Ancestor Moth. To be read by all novitiates of the temple. The Order of the Ancestor Moth is as ancient as it is noble. We nurture and celebrate our beloved ancestors, whose spirits are manifest in the ancestor moths. Each moth carries the Fjairon of an ancestor's spirit. Loosely translated as the will to peace, the Fjairon can be sung into the silk produced by the ancestor moths. When the silk is in turn spun into cloth and embroidered with the genealogy of the correct ancestor, clothing of wondrous power can be made. Adepts of our order are gifted with prescient powers. The wisdom of the ancestors can sing the future into the present. For this reason, our order and our order alone has been given the privilege to interpret the Elder Scrolls. These writings exceed even the gods, both Aedra and Daedra. Such insight into the inner fabric of reality comes at a price. Each reading of the Elder Scrolls is more profound than the last. Each leaves the priest blind for longer and longer periods of time. Finally, the last reading achieves a nearly sublime understanding of that scroll's contents, but the priest is left permanently blinded to the light of this world. No longer can he read the scrolls. This monastery is dedicated to the service of these noble members of our order. They now live out their lives with the ancestor moths that they so love. Their underground domains are well suited to the moths. They raise and nurture the fragile creatures, singing to them constantly. They harvest the silk and spin it into bolts of cloth. They weave the cloth, embroidering it with the genealogies and histories of the ancestors that spun the silk. This is their new life. As they tend the ancestor moths, so we tend the blind monks. While they toil in the dark, we serve in the light. They need food and water, we provide. They need tools and furniture, we provide. They need secrecy and anonymity, we provide. They need purveyors to sell the fruit of their labors, we provide. At one time, we also provided protection. Many generations ago, Gudrun came to our temple. Newly blinded by visions of what was to be, she brought with her new teachings. The visions of the ancestors foresaw the need of the monks to defend themselves. They train and practice the teachings of Gudrun constantly. They are masters of the sword of no sword, the axes of no axe. As a novitiate, you will learn the teachings of Gudrun. You will learn the way of the peaceful fist. You will learn to serve the blind monks. You will learn to provide. In time, you may attain the peace and insight of the ancestor moths. Final book in Riverwood, Killing Before You're Killed. Take that one off the list. Yes. Raya's going to be my permanent follower. She remains the only one who will dual wield. We'll use Serana when we have to. And Serana's a contender for permanent, just because she has so much more personality. But generally speaking, Raya. Like, it's going to go Faendal, Lydia, Raya, Serana when we have to. Killing Before You're Killed. By Eduardo Corvus. I've seen many a man rush headlong into battle only to have their life cut short in an instant. Oh, and Janassa. Janassa will exist between Faendal and Lydia. I've been a trainer of the warrior arts for many spans, cut from the cloth of a great lineage of knights, blades, and even a distant sellsword or two. It's with this knowledge that I'll try to pen a brief treatise on the subtle art of war. Not mage fire, not archery or criminal throat-slitting, but war. Man on man with nothing but a fine bit of steel between them. The first thing you'll need to learn is how to block. The best way not to get killed is not to let the other man hit you. Use a shield, use it well. Now you'll get tired from this. You may even get a little hurt. But a blocked blow is much better than a landed one. Over time you'll get better, eventually shrugging off even the mightiest of hits. But beware, your foes, if they're not base cur bandits, will know how to counter you. They'll hit you with everything they've got in order to open you up and keep on hitting. So watch for these powerful attacks. While it's still better to absorb the impact with a quarter inch of steel, it's best to try to just step out of the way. Remember, against spells, your blocking is useless unless you're trained. So get up on mages quickly and let them eat steel. Deserves them right for using a witch weapon. You can also block without a shield as well. Just cross that blow with your sword. Though this isn't nearly as effective. And if you decide you're fancy and want to wield two blades, you can't block at all, so don't even try. Without both hands on the hilt, you just won't have the strength to counter blows. But, with a weapon in each hand, you are much more likely to take your opponent down quickly. The best defense, some say. To wield the blade, there are some fundamentals. Quick strikes are always good, but can be repelled. So watch for your opponent's own defensive postures. Wait for an opening or create one with your own heavy attacks. Hammers hit hardest, but are slow. Same with maces and all blunt weaponry. Axes are a nice middle ground, while swords are the quickest, but won't stagger your opponent as efficiently with the hard hits. Keep an eye not to get too exhausted. Always try to save a little of your strength to counter blows or even run. Keep moving during a fight. Never let yourself get cornered or surrounded. Pick your threats. Weak spellcasters that can hurt you quick are the first things I fell. The shield is not only a defensive tool. Put your shoulder into it and bash your opponent. This sends them flying and opens them up for quick counter assaults. Even better, put extra weight into it and power bash your opponent. If they're small, this will put them on their knees. Bigger opponents cannot be staggered by heavy attacks. Only the power bash will really knock them around and create openings for you to exploit. So again, block, counter, bash. Hit them when they're down. They'll show no mercy, so why should you? Battle is about the offense, about catching your foe early and never relenting. Keep moving, keep swinging. If you consider yourself overly powerful, pick up a two-handed weapon and see your foes fall before you like wheat stalks. They're slow and unwieldy, but they shatter bones and cleave flesh better than anything. The graves are filled with many a mediocre swordsman. If you don't have the stomach for war, try a monk's work. But if you do travel the path of the warrior, learn the basics and keep your head firmly planted on your shoulders, or someone's bound to lob it off. Good advice all around. Alright, so I will give Faendal the Iron Mace.
Still here.
So here's the follower interface. I need to trade some things with
What do you
you.
want me to carry?
I'm going to leave him with this stuff. I'm going to take his dagger. I'll take his letter. Now remember, companions cheat. NPCs in general cheat. They only need one arrow to have infinite ammo, so I'm going to give him one arrow, which will give him infinite ammo. And I'm also going to give him that iron... Well, no, I'll probably give him a steel mace, actually. It's not like I don't have spares. There you go, brother. With my compliments.
You lead, I'll follow.
Let's check the chest. Gold. Finish looting his house. I don't think we're going to find anything else too compelling. Oh, there is one more book in here. I forgot about it, but it's an interesting one. And I love this game. It's not my favorite. I like Morrowind better, but I will never understand the Skyrim haters. Of which there are many, I do acknowledge. The writing in Morrowind is much better, but to me this is easily the most immersive of the three games. And you know that goes a long way with me. 2 straw off the gear list. I will need 28 more of those for my hearthfire construction tasks. Here's the other book. Urbane's Bestiary, Ice Wraiths. Let's take that one off the list as well. Give it a quick read, it's a short one. Urbane's Bestiary, the Ice Wraiths. 17 last seed. When winter's chill descended upon me as I traveled further north through the frozen plains and mountains, I settled in at the inn at Dawnstar for a moment of respite and a warm meal. Another traveler there told me to be cautious, that there are creatures who settle into the powder white of the snow, with nary a clue to the careless until it is too late. He went on and on with wild gestures and fantastic tales of entire merchant expeditions being killed by the beasts. His stories frightened the other inn patrons, but I will not be turned by a coward's tale. I will see these for my own eyes, for those icy caves and snow-capped peaks of the north are exactly the type of places that call to an adventurer like me. It did not take me long to find what I sought. These ice wraiths are lucid, serpentine creatures of magic, as if conjured from the frozen tundra and glaciers of Skyrim itself. At one with an environment that makes them nearly invisible, these ethereal apparitions are the death of many Nords, if not by their sudden unholy strike that casts their entire body through their target, then by the malady of Witbane, a curse of infection that dulls the intellect and makes the target even more the victim. As deadly as they are, ice wraiths are simple-minded in their determination, and combat is a straightforward affair, and brute force and a sharp blade are enough to fell these savage creatures. Only the hardiest of men would hope to survive just one of these beasts, but I have slain 2 with general ease. It's good that I've found I can make decent coin selling the ice wraith's teeth, as they are a prized ingredient in alchemical potions. that will continue to afford me the opportunity to search these lands for a challenge worthy of story, for I have yet to see what would make me tremble. Alright, buddy, we get it. You're a badass. I need the circlet. And the Dwarven Mace is a significant upgrade. For me, actually. Better than steel. I'm not using it yet, so I'm actually going to give...
Here.
I'm going to give Faendal his own Dwarven Mace. Take the steel one back. There you go, bud.
Lead on.
I actually wonder if
What do you
I'm
want me to carry?
toting any light armor I should give him. I feel quite certain I am. I also need to take that circlet off the list. Ah, yes. I have full sets of elven light armor. Which I think are, yeah, easily the best I've found so far. So I will give him those. Enjoy, brother.
Let's get going then.
Kind of appropriate for him anyway, being an elf. I have 2 circlets. I'll need to find 1 more. That's nice. I still need 6 necklaces, but only 2 rings. He does look dapper. Check him out. Check out all his majesty. He'll actually be kind of useful in battle now, because he's not subject to the legendary difficulty damage penalties like I am. Alright, Sven and Hildy, what are y'all up to? They're finally gone! Hooray. What does that mean? Well, their house is unlocked, which is not exactly what I was looking for. Here comes a courier.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. Ah, a letter from
Oh yes,
Carl.
this one.
Moving up in the world, eh? Looks like that's it. Got to go.
That one happens, I think, at level 6. I'm surprised the delivery took so long, but here we have the letter from Jarl Sidgeir of Falkreath. Speak to the Jarl of Falkreath. This is the kickoff to Hearthfire. Travis, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sidgeir, and I have the honor to be the Jarl of the proud and ancient city of Falkreath. The fame of your exploits across Skyrim has brought you to my attention. If you are interested in becoming a Thane of Falkreath Hold, I invite you to speak to me the next time you are in Falkreath. Aside from the honor that accrues to the title, my Thanes are entitled to a personal housecarl. I also can tell you privately that a choice parcel of land in Falkreath would be available for your purchase should your services prove useful to me. I look forward to meeting you in person. I remain Jarl Sidgeir of Falkreath. Alright, so that means, as is always the case for me with Hearthfire installed, we will not be doing the Rare Gifts quest for Sidgeir. We get to skip the part where we have to bring him a Blackbriar Mead, which, you know, the funny thing is the completionist in me kind of hates the disappearing of a quest without actually doing it, but yeah, the point is to let people get started on their home building if they're reasonably leveled, which I understand. So, Rare Gifts for Sidgeir is done, and I no longer need to hold on to a Blackbriar Mead. This is generally a positive development. Alright, let's check out their house. I'll worry about picking the lock later. Everything in here is going to be stealing, so I'm just worried about getting the useful stuff. Alchemy ingredients are on that list. And whenever they do lock up, I want to make sure...
Look at you up. No good.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm stealing all your garlic and all your salt, which is a more accurate reflection of my real-world tastes than I'm comfortable with, to be honest. Alright, there was 2 more glass and a deer hide in that chest, as well as some gold. So I am down to needing 55 glass and 1 deer hide.
Sure. What do you want?
Hang on a second. Dad, I'm busy. What? I will in a few minutes before I go. All right, hang on. Sorry, folks, I'm being summoned with immediacy. I have to pause. I'll be right back. All right, the hazards of live streaming. But with that, of course, that was kind of the signal I was waiting for. So we'll wrap things up here in Riverwood. These last few things I'm trying to take care of.
It's my boy Sven.
Then we'll be
you can
done.
Listen to. He sings at the inn most every night.
Okay, Hildy, you want to leave? Or at least walk somewhere else? Yeah, there we go. I need the gold out of here. Need the ingredients off of there. That's it for inside their house. I'm glad you like my shorts, Lone Wonder. I'm told they're stylish. My girlfriend got them for me. And I enjoy them. They're comfy. Let's one other thing I want to do right quick is just get the chest from treasure map 1. It's right over here. So let's do that. Might as well grab that Mora Tapanella. We got another circlet, and a gold ingot. Both of those are on my list. It's the last circlet I need. I need a total of 10 gold ingots. That number obviously now down to 9. Alright, let me think. We've explored all the buildings. We still need to pick the lock on Sven and Hildy's. Then we need to talk to Lucan, kick off the Golden Claw. And I think I will. There are a few things I'm going to save for the next stream, because you know they'll take an hour in their own right, and that is the crafting session, smithing and alchemy, and selling stuff to Lucan to raise speech. So I will dialogue with Lucan right quick, accept his quest.
The Riverwood Trader is everything you need in a general store. My sister Camilla or I will be happy to help you. Maybe you're looking for something particular. We carry just about anything you could need.
I love you, Stephen Russell.
I know some of it looks like junk, but everything's a treasure in the right light.
My boy Garrett.
Yes?
Do you sell spells?
I think I have a few old spell books laying about. If you want more, you'll have to go to the College of Winterhold.
Sure thing, Hoss. Did something happen?
Yeah, we did have a bit of a break-in. We still have plenty to sell. Robbers were only after one thing. An ornament. Solid gold in the shape of a dragon's claw.
I could help you get the claw back.
You could? I've got some coin coming in from my last shipment. It's yours if you bring my claw back. Now, if you're going to get those thieves, you should head to Bleak Falls Barrow, northeast of town. Yes. So now you don't have to go, do you?
Alright, we've begun the Golden Claw. Lucan Valerius in Riverwood is offering me a gold reward if I retrieve his antique golden claw stolen by bandits camped in Bleak Falls Barrow. Retrieve the golden claw.
Oh, really? Well, I think your new helper here needs a guide.
No, by the 8, fine, but only to the edge of town. The sooner you find the claw, the sooner our lives can get back to normal. Yes?
Alright,
All right then.
there's a little more dialogue with Camilla now.
We have to go through town and across the bridge to get to Bleak Falls Barrow. You can see it from here, though. The mountain just over the buildings.
There it is.
Those thieves must be mad hiding out there. Those old crypts are filled with nothing but traps, trolls, and who knows what else.
Good dog.
I wonder why they only stole Lucan's golden claw. I mean, we have plenty of things in the shop that are worth just as much coin. Lucan found the claw about a year after he opened the store. He never quite explained where he got it. He's a tricky one. This is the bridge out of town. The path up the mountain to the northwest leads to Bleak Falls Barrow. I guess I should get back to my brother. He'll throw a fit if I take too long. Such a child. Mara bless you for agreeing to help us.
How much farther do I have to walk?
Well, it's a winding road up the mountain just ahead. You'll know you're in the right place once you spot the old watchtower. Once you get to the tower, head north. Bleak Falls Barrow should be just around the corner further up. Good luck. Lucan and I will be waiting for you back in the shop. You're not from around here.
Alright,
Next two of us.
with that done, I'm gonna check Sven and Hildy's one more time. Just to see if they've done me the service of locking their damn door so I can pick it. Oh yeah, an Alvor's smithing tutorial. I almost forgot about that.
Favorite drinking.
Nuts! She's back in the damn chair. The house is unlocked anyway. Alright, well, let's do Alvor's smithing tutorial right quick.
Take what you need, my friend. Within reason, of course. Whatever you need. My smear if it's simple and strong. I can forge it.
Okay, I need to give him a little more time. Which actually works for me. I'm going to use the tanning rack. Turn any extraneous... I need the goat hide. I need the wolf pelts. The fox pelts, I can turn both of those into leather.
It's my boy Sven you need to listen.
Let me see how I'm doing
He
on
sings
leather. I need 4 total. I already had 2, so that's all the leather I need. But now, I need a whopping 128 leather strips. So I'll work on those.
In most every night.
I think Riverwood will eventually get vampire attacks. I think once you kick off Dawnguard, they can technically start.
Sven,
1 extra saber cat pelt.
voice of a
That's
snowman.
4
Only
extra
good thing
leather.
he got from his father.
So I can make 16 strips from that. Which puts me at 112 that I still need. Sorry, I was working on mathing here.
My boy fancies that Camilla Valerius. She'll come around soon enough.
That's all my spares. Surprise, surprise. Here we go.
Iron or steel is what you need. Leave that fancy elven stuff to the elves.
Need any help around the forge?
Yes, actually. How about you smith me an iron dagger? Here's everything you need to make one. Go ahead.
He actually gives me 2 sets of supplies. Craft an iron dagger. He gave me 2 ingots and 2 strips. I only need 1 each, so that leaves 111 strips needed, and... where's that big-ass number? There it is. 766 iron ingots to go. Fun. But let's go ahead and make the dagger. As requested.
That's a decent weapon you made.
Bring an iron dagger to Alvor. Alright.
I could forge you a warhammer that would crush a giant's head like a walnut.
Wait, she got up. But it's unlocked.
You the sneaky type?
Here's an iron dagger.
Got some nice... Not bad, but it's a little dull. How about you sharpen it up? Just need a bit of metal and the grindstone over there.
Temper an iron dagger.
Until next time.
Okay, he only gave us the 1 ingot, so we will just do that. 1 fine iron dagger. Yes, I will improve it. Bring a tempered iron dagger to Alvor. But of course.
Whatever you need.
I've sharpened the iron dagger.
This looks good.
He gave me a deer
Put iron
hide.
into your blades. They'll serve you well when you need them. You want to keep helping? How about you make some armor? Let's start by tanning some leather on the rack. Good day.
Alright, so that deer hide turns into 2 leather. Bring the leather to Alvor. I know I can turn one of them into strips. Because I only need 1 leather for Alvor, so that's 4 extra strips. I need 107 more. Just taking advantage of all the freebies. You know how I do.
Iron or
Here's that
steel
leather
to
you
use.
wanted.
Ah, good. A lot of weapons and armor need leather for straps, fittings, that kind of thing. Let's see if you can make a hide helmet. Here's the rest of what you need.
And now he gave me everything I need, so I have 1 more extra leather. So, I'm gonna do 4 more strips. I need 103 more in total. And that'll happen faster than we think, and then we can start slowly but surely actually raising smithing. But in the meantime, let's make the hide helmet with the 2 leather and 1 strip he just gave me. Bring a hide helmet to Alvor. But of course, out of the way, Faendal.
Take what you need, my friend. I could forge
Here's a
you
hide helmet.
warhammer. Huh. I should hire you to be my assistant at this
And 1
rate.
leather for tempering.
Let's improve the fit. Take this leather to the workbench over there. Mm-hmm.
Alright, temper 1 hide helmet. Bring a tempered hide helmet to Alvor.
You the sneaky type?
I've tempered the hide
That's a
helmet.
nice- You have talent. Keep working at your craft, and you'll be a fine smith one day. Why don't you keep that dagger and helmet? Maybe you'll remember me when you're making Skyforge steel, huh?
Alright,
Aye.
now that does it for the smithing tutorial. I can take that off my quest list right quick. Nice and easy. Alright, I'm gonna wait. See if they lock their damn door. They will when Sven leaves the house to go sing at the inn, which he ought to do fairly soon, I think. Well, the truth is, I can actually just wait until nighttime when they're both in the house. I can pick the lock that way. She is pork-chowling a bit, isn't she? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Alright, she's gonna go inside. I reckon she'll lock the door behind her. Sven should be off singing now. Maybe?
I trust you're not planning any trouble. What can I do for you, friend?
Yeah, get out of here.
You're nothing but trouble.
I think at this point I'm just waiting for Hildy to go to bed. Which ought to happen soon. There it is, finally. Alright, let's pick the lock on their house. And that's everything that I want to do today.
Can a woman get a moment to herself? Leave me.
Of course. Gladly. Out of here. So, things still to do in Riverwood. We need to... I can't really do much smithing. We need to do... Essentially, we need to do a crafting session. We need to do smithing, and we need to do alchemy. And then we need to sell everything we can sell to Lucan. But I'm out of time for today. All that will take at least an hour in its own right, and so we'll pick that up on the next episode of Let's Play Skyrim Special Edition. In the meantime, I really want to thank everybody who joined me in the stream today. Particular thanks to Hannah for the Prime subscription, and to everyone who gave me birthday wishes. I really appreciate that. And of course, thank you to everyone simply for watching. I do really appreciate your time and attention. I'm grateful that you were here. It's always a joy to stream for you. You guys make it fun, no matter what. I really appreciate that. I checked on Twitch. There's nobody we need to raid over to with our fabulous fivesome, so I'm just going to end for today. Today was kind of a surprise stream for me. The stars aligned that I had some time in the afternoon I didn't think I would have, but the next one I had planned was for Friday, and that's still going to happen. But now Friday will be Thief 3, in keeping with the rotation. I believe we are about to enter St. Edgar's in Thief 3. So that's going to happen Friday. I hope to see you there. If you're new around here and you haven't followed the channel, please do so. If you're watching later on YouTube, please give the VOD a like and subscribe. That'll get you both everything that I do live streaming wise on Twitch. That all gets archived over there, and it'll also get you the more episodic playthroughs I'm currently working on of Shadow Tower and Mass Effect. So again, thanks very much. See you live on Friday. Regular YouTube uploads are happening every weekday like they always do. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.